What's up, everyone out there in YouTube land? It's me, Perry Lovewhistle, and I'm back on Engrosser in Project 1999 Green. I had been planning on getting him leveled up a little bit more before the quest I'm going to try today, but I just have no time to level with him because he's a warrior, which means that if I want to level, I need to be in a group, and if I have time to group, I'm probably going to be playing on Zaner. But there is a quest that I absolutely have to try with Engrosser. You see, in classic EverQuest, almost all of the starting cities have some quest that carries you all around the world and results in a class-specific item to drive certain class race combinations and also get you a whole bunch of lore. In Kelethin, that was the True Shot Longbow quest. For Neriak, it's the Reaper of the Dead quest. And for Caladim, it's the Eye of Stormhammer quest. You probably haven't ever heard of this quest. And the main reason for that is because it takes a long time. There is one part of it that is incredibly difficult and frustrating. And the end result is a weapon that if you just spent time leveling instead, you would easily be able to replace with a better weapon, especially now that Kunark is out. There are City of Mist weapons that are just given away to newbies that are way better than the weapon in question. But there is a lot of really good lore about it. So a long, difficult quest, really enticing lore, and an item that is just about worthless, that sounds like something that is right up my alley. And the whole quest centers around this statue right at the front of Caladim. One thing that makes it even better for Engrosser is that it starts out right where the Cleaner Clockwork quest ends. If you recall, when you give the scrap metal to Binno here, he says, perhaps you can assist in an important Stormguard matter. And when you ask what important Stormguard matter, he gives you this sealed letter and starts talking about the Eye of Stormhammer. And if you ask a little bit more, he starts talking about the great statue of Kazan Stormhammer, that's that statue outside, used to have 2 gems in its eyes. They were pulled out of the mines in Butcher Block. One of them got stolen, so in order to protect the other one, they put it in the vault. Well, that one also got stolen. And I need to go to Antonica at a place called High Pass Hold, where the rogue who stole it has been in prison. And after a quick boat ride and a terrifying sprint through Kithakor Forest, I'm now in High Pass, and somebody is killing a guard. In case you are unfamiliar, in the very next door from the bank clerk is the jail clerk. And when I give her the note, she gives me a cracked emerald, which is a 2-slot bag, and tells me about how the little halfling has escaped and has probably gone back to Rivervale, and he left behind a broken piece of an emerald that she thinks belongs in Caladim. Well, she's right. So I have to find Bronin and ask him where the missing emerald shard is, and he's in Rivervale. Luckily, that's pretty close by. Bronin Higginsbot, according to the Wiki, is sometimes here at the southmost tower in Misty Thicket and sometimes in Rivervale. I have only ever seen him here. And the reason why is because when you talk to him, specifically about the Emerald Shard, he talks about how the Emerald Shard is bringing him bad luck, and I have to do a small favor if I want to get it from him. And when you say, I will do you a small favor, he tells you about how a bounty hunter named Slade has tracked him here, and you have to solve his problem in order for him to give you his Emerald Shard. And telling him that spawns Slade, who is a roughly level 20 Froglock Shaman up here in Misty Thicket. Slade spawns up here in the corner just outside of the north end of the wall. He's about level 20. The wiki says he's a shaman, but he also backstabs. The other great thing about Slaith is he can respawn as fast as you can run down and talk to Bronin. So a lot of times you'll see somebody just sitting here, running back and forth, spawning him and farming XP on Slaith. If that's the case and you're doing this quest, all you got to do is loot a set of froglock legs. But since that's not happening right now, luckily I got some buffs here from a friendly shaman. And you pick up the froglock leg from him. Give the froglock leg back to Bronin. And he gives you not an emerald shard, but a key. HK106. Highhold Keep Strongbox 106. Which is where he apparently put one of the shards. I guess while he was a prisoner there, or maybe while he was there before he got arrested, or maybe on his way out after the Great Breakout. Anyhow, he also talks about a second piece of a gem, which he hid near Kelethin. So I've got to go back to Kelethin and ask around for the Gem of Tunair. But first, let's hop over to Highkeep real quick. So I hurry back here to Bank Clerk Jalen, give her the key to the strongbox, to get an emerald shard. Now, of course, I've got the wiki open next to me, and I know that the most efficient way to do this quest at this point would be to just continue my journey west. But, for the sake of lore, I'm going to go back to Kelethin to ask around about that Gem of Tunair. Well, with nothing to go on but Gem of Tunair and one of the guilds in Kelethin, you will eventually find yourself at the Rogue Guild, the Scouts of Tunair. Which makes sense. This is all about theft anyway. I never realized that I'd never been in the Rogues Guild. There's 2 GMs and 1 merchant. This is a pretty sad guild. But you go to Tilfon and ask about the Gem of Tunair. Oh, he apparently doesn't like me enough. Well, this has all been a waste of time. There you go. So they like Zaner. So if Zaner asks them what Gem of Tunair, he starts talking about how the Scouts of Tunair found it in the trunk of a great tree, which is where Bronin said that he had hidden it. And it was stolen by Faldor Hindris. And only his brother, Elmion Hindris, knows its whereabouts. Ask him about Elmion Hindris, and he says that he's at the lake near the estate. I know where that is. Elmion Hindris is one of the Fab Four in Dagners Cauldron. Just a couple of NPCs that are regularly fighting off the skeletons and snakes that spawn in the area. And they can be overrun by the Aqua Goblin Tidal Lords. Which is also one of the main reasons why I want this to be as quick and efficient as possible. That and my sow just dropped off. So I'm going to do my best to hop in, ask him about his brother, and start running away immediately. I'll let them fight those off. I got the information that I needed, so I'm headed out. So now that that's done, while I run out of Dagners, Elmion's response is to state that Faldor is, by the way, his half-brother, and he went to live with the vile half of his ancestry. So Faldor is a half-elf, and he went to live in Kanos, and also Elmion is a racist. But I need to make the run all the way across Norath to Kanos to start camping for Faldor Hindris. Which brings us to the final and most frustrating part of the entire quest. This is the part that really makes the whole thing not worthwhile. Faldor Hindris is on a 2-hour respawn timer, which would be fine if he didn't go anywhere. He spawns inside of Crow's Pub, because this is where the entrance to the Thieves Guild is, and walks out all the way out of the town and despawns at the zone line to Kanos Hills. And what's worse, he has a placeholder. So every 2 hours, you have a chance to find Faldor Hindris. So now we begin the long and boring wait to get to the first spawn. And then I set a timer and start working on chores. All right. It took a little over an hour, but I got my first placeholder, a beggar. The beggar himself is useless to me, except to give me a starting point so that I can actually log off for 2 hours at a time and come back in and check for either a placeholder or Faldor. Finally! It only took 7 respawns. That's 14 hours of waiting for Faldor to spawn. Now, granted, I did sleep through 3 of them. But he is finally up. He cons amiable, which is kind of surprising. But I am not going to chance fighting him in the town. I know that he is going to walk out of the town, so I'll just hold on and wait and fight him out in the newbie area. But before I fight him, I am kind of curious about what he says about the Gym of Tunair. Oh, he gets a little bit aggressive about it. All right. And I get my second Emerald Shard, which, by the way, could be turned in back in the Thieves Guild for some rogue-only magic-resist pants. But I'm not going to do that. Now I've got my Eye of Stormhammer, which I was actually kind of curious. It gives you +5 to 3 resists, but I don't know how to get those stats, because it doesn't seem to give them to me when I have it in my inventory. So maybe this is just one of those improperly programmed things, or maybe there was going to be something else to implement it with, but it's got 3 saves that I can't get. Well, it looks like I'm going to head back to Caladim and turn it into an axe. And after a quick port, I am back in Caladim with my Eye of Stormhammer. Give this back to Benno, and he should give me the Avenger Battle Axe, a 1543 magic item with 3 strength and 3 stamina, warrior only. It's a little heavy, and it has these standard battle axe graphics, so nothing fancy there. But since it's nowhere near as good as my Axe of Lost Souls, I'm going to go find somebody to give it to. Well, that's not only it for this quest, but that's about it for quests that Engrosser can do in Caladim. So he's probably going to have to pick up shop and head somewhere else to see what other obscure quests there are in other cities for warriors to do. And I've already got a couple of ideas. So until next time, bye!